I know you were really interested in this when we spoke, and it's such a large subject. That's why it's such a big book with over 500 pages of great information. But, remind the audience what led you to write about minerals and mineral deficiencies.
It's something actually I've been working on for a long time. I had been publishing on particularly magnesium deficiency several years ago. I wrote a paper on subclinical magnesium deficiency, which essentially means you don't see it. It doesn't like represent itself as anything visible. You can't look at someone and see that they have magnesium deficiency per se. But it was this subclinical disease that is very prevalent. And so we published this review paper. And from there, that was sort of the launching point for the book, because that was sort of this culmination of probably 5 decades worth of magnesium information. And it really opened my eyes to how many things can actually lead to magnesium deficiency.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things you realize when you read this, I knew this actually working in a clinic, being around doctors, how many people are actually deficient of not just magnesium, but all really minerals. And I'll just read this off quickly from your own book here right in the beginning. Chromium, 50%, 56% deficient. Magnesium, 49% deficient. Zinc, 47%. Calcium, 46%. Manganese, 40%. And the list goes on. We're talking about basically all of these essential minerals. Can you go into what is it about minerals that makes them so important, and why are we often overlooking them and finding ourselves so deficient?
Well, we tend to focus on macronutrients, right? Protein, fats, carbohydrates. We forget that it's the micronutrients, particularly the minerals, that controls our ability to utilize those 3 substances for energy, right? Because humans are essentially biological computers. Our tech runs on micronutrients, minerals, vitamins. So if you want to have good energy, right, most people just think, well, carbs, protein, fat. But how you utilize that, right? Take glycolysis, for example. Just to break down glucose and to turn it into ATP requires magnesium. And so as your levels fall of minerals, including magnesium, your ability to go through glycolysis, to go through the Krebs cycle, and to even go through the electron transport chain to create ATP goes down. So we need to sort of think of our mineral status as what type of engine we're running with. You can either be running with a V6, right? Depleted in minerals like most of us are, or you can have a V10 engine where you're supercharged because you're getting optimal amounts of all your minerals.
Yeah. And I think so many of us, and to put it bluntly, the reason why we're deficient is we're eating like shit. And I mean, you put it in much more eloquent terms in this book. But can you go into about that? Not even that we're eating poorly and heavily refined, foods, refined sugars, carbs, just junk food in general, but even the soil is depleted. Is that one of the main reasons that we're finding ourselves then depleted?
There's pretty much 3 main reasons why we're depleted in minerals. The first would be that our food is actually basically less nutrient dense compared to just 50 to 70 years ago. And that has to do with many factors, not only how we grow our food faster for quicker yield. So if you grow plants and crops quicker, they're going to naturally be more diluted in the nutrient because they just don't have as much time to take it up. Right. Same thing with animals. We actually kill them faster, right? We grow them very quickly, that we get them to slaughter at 14 months. Whereas if you were to hunt an animal out in nature and they had been living for a couple of years, they would have had longer to extract more nutrients. So it's sort of how we grow our food. Number one is completely different. It's all about speed and quantity and not quality. So that's one. And that does have to do with soil acidity as well. But also fertilizers too. It actually reduces the uptake in glyphosate of minerals into the plants and then into the animals themselves. The second factor would be the refinement of the foods, which will dramatically reduce magnesium in processed grains by 80 to 90%. Refined sugars will essentially completely eliminate magnesium from that food. And the third would be our chronic disease states, inflammation, diabetes, kidney disease, gastrointestinal damage, all deplete us of minerals. So those are the 3 primary factors.
And you actually bring up in the book that mineral deficiencies drive most chronic illnesses as well. So right there, you were saying chronic illnesses can lead to a depletion, but they're also driving a lot of these conditions we're seeing that are becoming really commonplace. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So minerals actually make up your first line of defense against oxidative stress. They literally make up your antioxidant enzymes, one of them being superoxide dismutase, which there's actually 3 different isoforms of that. And that essentially protects your blood, the cells, and actually there's a superoxide dismutase in the mitochondria that needs manganese to actually work. So if you want to protect the health of your cell and mitochondria, you literally need optimal intakes of mineral or your shields go down. So your minerals are essentially your antioxidant shields. And part of this, where this actually stems from, it actually starts about 3 billion years ago in blue-green algae. They started producing oxygen in the atmosphere. And it is thought that they use selenium and iodine, which are 2 different minerals, as an actual defense against oxidative stress. So our first antioxidants may have actually been minerals. And we see this in the human body as well, because not just minerals making up antioxidant enzymes, but take, for example, iodine, which helps us create thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones actually have a tremendous amount of antioxidant ability as well. So it's not just making up the antioxidant enzymes, but also through thyroid hormone function as well, they help to give us antioxidant defenses.